where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your regular Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 422. It is theme week. It is the end of September, and it is almost October. What a week. It's been just absolutely, it's been a mind-bending week. Everything from my wife being in the hospital to, it's just been, I'm about as mentally exhausted as I can be. But good news is she is better and she's home, and the last few days have been great. I'm just so exhausted from this past week. But here we are, man. It is theme week. It is YouTube letter horror. And the main idea was just picking a movie that started with a letter that begins our YouTube channel. So VHS82 apostrophe, I had to run with a movie that started with a V, and so I decided to run with a movie that I have not watched in a long time, and the only release I have on is the VHS release, and that is of course John Carpenter's Vampires from 1998, tucked right in between a couple lesser films of his. I think it's number 19 in his filmography, and it's you know, I'm going to tell you what, I'm so stinking glad, man. I decided to run with this and pop this in. It's the VHS release. I know Scream Factory's released it, but I mean, come on now, that's a beautiful thing, man. Watched this twice this week, and in fact, last night was revisiting it real close, and I'll have to say, man, this is a movie that was lower on my radar for the longest time, but as of this rewatch last night, I have to say, this movie, man, this movie has grown on me considerably. Enough that before this year's end, I'm going to do what I need to do to get that Scream Factory release of it. And in fact, all it really did was sort of ignite my love for John Carpenter and for, of course, his much earlier work, right? Which I really haven't spent much time watching many of his movies of late. I've been so steeped into Italian horror and whatnot, whatever else. So it was refreshing to revisit this. And last night, I was just sort of struck, man, by the visuals of this film, and you know, just the way the camera captures, you know, just the never-ending flatness of the earth against the sky, just the color palette used. I love the visual effects of just seeing these vampires, you know, laying under earth outside, and then as they rise up out of the earth, man, it calls back to Bava's Planet of the Vampires or something. I mean, it just had a really cool, not that they were vampires, of course, but it just had just aesthetically, man, this movie hit me. It hit me in a way it really hasn't hit me before, and I was struck by the cast. Maximilian, Schell, I forget he's in this thing as that cardinal. Of course, the cast is led by James Woods, right? And he is a vampire slayer who is the byproduct of two parents who had been killed by vampires, but brought up by the Catholic Church to hunt down and kill vampires. And as we catch up with him and his character right at the beginning of the movie, him and his team are hitting a nest out somewhere in New Mexico, I think. And again, aesthetically, man, just the visuals of it, man, was just the way they used the camera, the close-up on the eyes. I mean, it had an Italian vibe or something, man. Just the use of the camera and how they, you know, get close up, and especially on someone's facial expression. James Woods, of course, you know, the most, right? But they hit the nest, but there is no master, and then so later on they're celebrating that night, and the master comes a calling, and let's just say when he is done. Of course, this is I would say it's Thomas Ian Griffith plays Valek, man, and this guy, man, I don't know if there's anyone born to play this part of Jan Valek as Thomas Ian Griffith was for this particular role, this particular film, this particular director. It is, his performance is is really fun to watch. In fact, there's when they stay at a hotel, well, let me just kind of jump back a little bit. So he calls, and when he's done, there's not much left of the team really, but Daniel Baldwin and James Woods' character, and a hooker who James Woods initially is with, but then Daniel Baldwin's character ends up having a hots for later on in the film. But she's bitten by Valek, so they keep her alive, hoping that she'll have this like telekinetic link or something with him, and so it's the trio, right? And so they go to the church, and the church basically tells them, they only give part story, and so James knows something's up, something's wrong, especially since Valek called him by his name, which happens to be Jack Crow in the film, which is pretty cool. So he knows there's something going on, and we do find out that there are sinister forces at work within the church itself that are looking to elevate Valek as master to a vampire who can walk in the day. Now, we find out too somewhere in the film that the rules and everything have been pretty much tossed out by the wayside. The only thing that really counts is a wooden stake through the heart. Everything else is sort of just pushed off in light of a new sort of approach, which is really cool. So Valek is your first most powerful vampire, and so we're removed from Dracula and all that stuff. This is a new mythology, which I wish John himself would have just continued with at least one or two movies. I think that could have been a lot of fun, maybe, especially towards the end of his career. It could have been. So I was really caught, and but I was gonna say towards the end of the film, they're all kind of like the three are stayed up at a hotel, and I'm telling you, the exterior of this hotel, it's something that you would have seen an exterior shot in a Dario Argento movie, like in a Suspire or something. I mean, it's just got that aesthetic look. It's pretty cool. And so, and I was doing a little reading, and I realized I didn't know that Wayne Toth was part of the special effects on this. Of course, Rob Zombie's #1 man, right? But this guy, Wayne, has a huge history, man, going all the way back to Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, and I mean, a lot of big movies, working on special effects and whatnot. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And K&B, I forgot that K&B supplied the makeup to this film. So Nicotero, Berger, and Kurtzman, right? And so I forgot K&B was on this bad boy. John supplies the composition, the score to the film, which is pretty cool. In fact, my wife was watching it with me the other night, and she even commented that it reminded her a little bit of one of his past movies. I don't know if it was Escape from New York but anyways. So the visuals, the story, I know it's based on a novella about I think it's a corporation that is sort of, they're in the business of killing vampires and whatnot. And the cast, man, is pretty, James Woods is so much freaking fun in this movie, man. But I think I was most struck just by the visual, the aesthetic look of this movie. The score is not one of John's best, but it's good enough. And everything else that rides with this movie is good enough. I remember this TV spot. It almost seems like there was a Marilyn Manson song attached to that TV spot, but it was just the revved upness of the TV spot as it unfolds. It was like, man, it just got you jacked up real fast. And then you see the movie, and it's like, at least then, I don't know. Like I said, my views are changing rapidly, very fast. I'm really, really, really glad I revisited this. I just need to, I guess I need to upgrade from this VHS to a Blu-ray, which Scream Factory put out. And it's up on Amazon. I don't think it was much, under 20. So yeah, so for, how appropriate for YouTube letter horror, I end up doing a John Carpenter film. How appropriate is that? Considering The Thing is maybe my most favorite horror film of all time. It changes in and out with Jaws. But so in week 422 from 1998, a John Carpenter film that maybe maybe still under the radar for you. I know it was for me for a lot of years, but I don't know. There's just so I forget. I was gonna mention Daniel. No, not Daniel Baldwin, but Mark Boone Jr. Is in this too, and he's a lot of fun. He doesn't last very long, unfortunately, but of course I love his role in 30 Days of Night. Yeah, 30 Days of Night. That was pretty cool. But as far as I'm concerned, Thomas Ian Griffith as Valek steals the show, and then you ride on to the conclusion of this bad boy, and it's fun, man. This is a fun movie. Glad I revisited it. So yeah, it's been a long week, boy, long stinking week. So here in week 422, YouTube Letter Horror, I offer John Carpenter's Vampires. If any of you got the Scream Factory Blue, and it's got some things on there that you are really impressed with in terms of extras or commentaries, do drop them down in the comments. Let me know what's on that bad boy. I mean, I know I can look it up anytime, but I'd get better kick out of you just dropping the comment down and telling me why I need to pick up the Blue on Scream Factory. And so, yeah, from the Master of Terror comes a new breed of evil. Yeah, so again, 422 theme week. October is nearly upon us, and that ought to offer up a lot of fun over the month with Body Bags. As always, we leave these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.